It's 1976. An outside training center in northern China. A few dozen students stand in rows, their knees bent to near right angles, each body almost motionless, other than a single arm tracing out an ellipse. Despite the apparent serenity, on closer inspection faces are contorted in agony and legs are quivering. Amidst the Chinese, a European whispers in faltering Mandarin. "How much longer?" The reply from a fellow student is immediate. "Longer." The foreigner's proportions look out of place here, his thighs uncomfortably long, knees narrow, body plump. A few more minutes pass. Suddenly, he collapses. Apparently the fall goes unseen by most, although a few students do appear to grin before their own suffering is etched once more onto their faces. A small, light-framed man darts amidst the group and deftly scoops up the lifeless foreigner's body onto his back. As the student begins to come to his senses, his saviour does his best to deposit him on a nearby log. The Chinese man speaks, in the manner of a weary adult to a young child.
Months, perhaps a year now. And still you fail, Mr. Ben.
"Master, my legs."
Not your legs that fail you. You fail your legs. Tomorrow, last chance to prove you're worthy to remain here. Not a game, Westerner. National treasure.
Much later the same day, inside a large dormitory-style room, windows have been wedged open. Even so, what little breeze there is struggles to wash away dense, airless humidity. A rough hand shakes Ben from a restless slumber. As he struggles to sit up and rubbing eyes back to life, one of his classmates animatedly implores him to remain quiet, before close to dragging him outside. Once beyond the confines of the building, his kidnapper finally permits the Westerner to speak. "Why are you bringing me out here?" Ben's companion doesn't answer. Instead, he gestures, continuing his use of the universal signals for follow and keep quiet. The land is arid. Grass and sand vie for supremacy. Sand is winning. As they begin to navigate rocks, that become monstrous in scale, a full chalk-white moon aids their vision. After what seems to Ben like an eternity, his companion, the master's protégé, a man almost exclusively referred to as Big Brother Liu, sits and with a final gesture ensures the nervous foreigner perches at his side. They rest together in silence on a smooth grey boulder that incorporates a natural ledge. Ben leans forwards and peers down, only to see 1,000-foot drop below him. Ben draws his knees up to his chin. Liu allows his feet to dangle over the precipice, nonchalantly chewing on a piece of dry grass. Treated to the sound of near silence, Ben gazes towards the scarred lunar surface. Suddenly he could swear he has begun to feel the pain of the intricate gashes and craters that the clear night affords him. The sensation of the moon's wounds being his does pass, but Ben is left wondering if everything, even the apparently lifeless, experiences a certain kind of existence. For some reason, this thought is followed by the memory of the dark marble-like surface on Nana's gravestone, of the creature he saw that day, the fox that, in the intervening years, he's done his best to forget. He shivers. Time passes, with Liu staring out into the night and saying nothing. His only discernible movement is the tip of the long grass wavering in the light breeze. For some reason it crosses Ben's mind that perhaps he has upset Liu, maybe mortally offended him somehow without realizing, and now this vastly physically superior man has brought him here, away from any witnesses, to exact his casual revenge. Perhaps the master has given Liu instructions to get rid of the round-eyed interloper, the advice taken all too literally. Or could killing a plump white devil actually be a badge of honor? A rite of passage, even? Is this some sort of final hurdle for becoming a master, too? Ben imagines himself falling and falling before, splat, history. Liu spits the grass from his mouth.
You, leave us now.
His fears seemingly vindicated, Ben goes to bolt. As though having intercepted Ben's thought, Liu grabs his hand. Liu employs just enough pressure to ensure his trembling victim has no alternative but to remain seated. In spite of his fear, Ben is suddenly aware of a strange and subtle energy moving throughout his body, as though a serpent were uncoiling at the base of his spine, snaking upwards and coming to rest deep inside his belly. Apparently completely unfazed, Liu continues. I mean, tomorrow. Your last day. Unless... Liu's words attract Ben's attention. I thought... Liu interrupts as though Ben wasn't speaking at all. Been watching you, foreigner. Brought you here to tell you, Although both men are speaking Mandarin, it is not either of their mother tongues, and as such, Ben finds Liu easier to understand than anyone else he's conversed with for a long, long time. His comprehension is aided by Liu having the sort of body language that almost renders the need for speech redundant. I'm an outsider here too. I am almost like you. Years ago, when the moon was like it is tonight.
Bright. Bright.
I arrived at the gates here. Liu stalls again and pulls on his bristly square chin like a wise old sage. Better I tell you about before that, what brought me to that place. Liu pauses yet again, less for dramatic effect and more because it seems that this is the first time he has told his story, and recalling it appears to make his chest hurt. His eyes moisten. He can live with the pain. Suffering has become a companion, but the emotion makes him bite down on his lip. Fast regaining his usual stoic composure, he takes up his story once more. I come from a far away, a place where even we Chinese look different, sound different. I was an only child, a happy child. We were poor, but I go to school and learn to read and write. Then one day, big excitement. Legend died. Fighting legend of all my people, killed in a challenge match. After his death, it was claimed he had no children, nobody to keep his valuable name or teaching alive. Elders brought in the special ones, the people that know about stars, spirits, numbers. They said there must be a successor. Time passed and nothing. That great fighter had not even taken one student, so no one to fly his flag, no one to honor him. They said he didn't teach, in case students sold his enemies his secrets. Finally, one of these people heard someone say he did have a child, that there was a girl, but not his wife's daughter. The talented ones soon agreed this other girl was his daughter, and that she too had a child, just one boy. His name, my name. His mother, my mother. The next day, I went to school. I was famous. Overnight, everyone wanted to talk to me and be my friend. Grown-ups waited for me at the school gates with flashing cameras and asked me 1,000 questions. I ran home. Allowing his legs to slide forward just a little, Ben looks across at Liu, an uncomfortable witness to the anguish that talking about his childhood is putting him through. The Englishman gulps only moments before his companion had been his potential assassin, and now here Ben is, with a man that can drive nails into hardwood with the palms of his hands, his head even, and sharing life. It dawns on Ben that despite everything, Liu being the golden boy to his class dunce, there could, after all, be some unlikely commonality here. Liu continues. People whispered behind my back, talking about my mother, saying bad things. Soon bigger kids wanted to fight me, even my old friends, keen to try me out and make their name. I go home with cuts and bumps all over my body. He points at various body parts for effect. My mother, ashamed to come to school. My father, working away from home, he never returned. Beatings got worse. Fingers, arms, jaw, all broken. Liu pauses again. Ben doesn't try to look at him anymore. It no longer matters whether the storyteller smiles or cries. Everything this foreigner needs to know about the man next to him is carried in the sound of his words and the gaps between them. Ben yearns to tell him, "It's all right." Instead, he says nothing. Liu breaks what has become yet another deafening silence. One night, I got up, took Father's gold and jade necklace. I left the house with the clothes on my back and a letter. Anyone finding this boy dead, please burn body. If found by an honest person, take necklace and give to monastery. Gold and jade offered in return for prayers for mother and safe travels of eternal soul. Blessings. Ben fiddles with something at chest level, beneath his own t-shirt. Liu continues. I ran out of my village and walked for weeks. Away. I ate nothing and drank almost nothing. Finally, I collapsed. Lay unconscious for days. My old wounds had made me weak. I was about to die when Master left the temple and scooped me up like a broken doll. Like when you fell. Unlike you, Master tended to me with herbs and prayer and said I could stay if I signed over my life. Him my master and me his servant. In return, Master would teach me martial arts, medicine, and many mysteries. What choice did I have? Master took my clothes and burned them, left me with only one thing from my old life. Liu taps at his necklace. My only possession. I soon regretted agreeing to Master's offer. For years, I knew it would have been better if I died on the floor outside and escaped the pain Master put me through. One day, Master made me stand in the horse stance. Liu moves sublimely, up into a low squat on the rock. He left me like this, from when the sun rose in the morning until it fell at night. During the torture, I found I could leave my body, have a life away from the pain. I learnt to find a safe space in my mind, where even what you foreigners call hell could not find me. Tomorrow, you will find that place. Liu fixes Ben with a 1,000-yard stare.
You must know that place.
Ben had heard tales about Liu ever since coming to study under the master. Only 2 years into his training, he had fought and beaten the greatest fighters in the surrounding villages. Supposedly, Master did not know about this, but even in a Chinese backwater, the notion of plausible deniability was alive and well. It occurs to Ben that if Liu could crouch for an entire day, then just maybe there was some way that he could endure a couple of hours. We go back now. You rest. Tomorrow we see if you can find your special place. If you too can hide from the demons that live inside. They stand. Moments later, Liu is already bounding across the huge rocks again. Ben, legs quivering and requiring 3 strides for every one of Liu's, stumbles along behind, struggling to keep pace. With the larger rocks gradually being replaced by stones and ultimately dry earth, and with Ben's frayed nerves calming, he could swear, even in the poor light, he has spied the outline of a fox in a nearby bush. Feeling an unexpected wave of strength in his legs, perhaps aided by huge gulps of night air and adrenaline, he ploughs on. Unbelievably to Ben, without huge effort, and even with the pace of the man in front of him, he is soon at Liu's heels. The Chinese man glances back, allowing himself a brief smile. The course that Liu is taking ensures they pass within a few strides of the shrubbery and the creature Ben believes to have made it their home. Despite their speed, the pair's footsteps are light, skimming the ground. They fly past the bush. The Westerner doesn't dare look again. Tonight has been weird enough, without adding the fear of hallucinations or, potentially worse, actually catching a glimpse of a fox demon's glowing eyes. Soon, back at the outskirts of the temple's land and nearing their sleeping quarters and the areas where they endure their daily punishment. Somehow everything appears less daunting to Ben than only the few hours before. For the first time he can remember, his entire being feels powerful. He considers the possibility that the swirling hurricane inside him, according to Master, the ultimate byproduct of diligent practice, has, completely, unexpectedly, whirred into life. This insight is followed by a knowing that, despite this heart-pounding episode, the agony of his earlier days' training, and the failure tomorrow is still likely to bring, Ben is, at last, and as per how Grandad once interpreted the inscription on Nana's grave, really living. Soon, the 2 men stand in silence outside the block where tonight's journey began. Ben glows as he bathes in his newfound energy. Liu's demeanour has already returned to its usual granite-like solemnity.
No dreaming of 9-tailed foxes, Westerner.
With these words, the star pupil enters at the back of the dormitory and disappears inside. Ben remains, motionless, sand between his toes, the universe sparkling above, and Liu's words resounding in his ears.